Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to add motion blur to clips in Premiere Pro. So motion blur is the blur that you see in an image naturally from the camera moving. So say if a shot or a clip in Premiere Pro doesn't have motion blur, in this video I'm going to show you how to add it artificially using some effects and different techniques in Premiere Pro. But before we get started, feel free to hit that like button. It really helps my channel out. And with that, let's get started. So I'm inside Premiere Pro and we're going to show you two ways to do this. The first one I'm going to show you is by using the transform effect. So we're going to go to the effects panel, type in transform, drag it to the clip that you want to add. And then basically what the transform effect is, it's a copy of the motion parameters. But what's unique about the transform effect is you'll notice that there's an option for shutter angle where you can increase the shutter angle, and this adds motion blur when you keyframe the different parameters inside this effect. So for example here, if I zoom in and we'll set keyframes for scale and position. And this is actually a 4K clip, so once I scale it out, say if we're zooming out from him, it won't crop the edges. You'll see more around them. So if we go forward about 5 frames and then scale it down to say 55 and then reposition him, and if we change the shutter angle, go back to the beginning, if we change the shutter angle to 360, you can see it adds motion blur. Actually, I should have changed the position. I should have added the shutter angle before animating the position, but you get the idea here. So there you go. The higher the shutter angle, the more motion blur that you add to it. You can't go higher than 360. 360 is the maximum. But this shows you get some nice blur on the sides, as the camera or the scale zooms out. So that's one way that you can add motion blur. The next way I'm going to show you is actually through an adjustment layer, and we're not actually going to use scale or position. What we're going to do is time remap this clip. So I have this clip of a guy staring at a canvas. We're basically going to speed it up and slow it down to get to where he starts painting it. So to do this time remapping, we're going to make some more room here on the track layer by just scaling that up. Right-clicking and go to Show Clip Keyframes, Time Remapping Speed, and then we can start adding keyframes to the different points in time we want to add time remapping. So say if we wanted to start speeding up here, and we can bring this up, maybe to 1,000. Zoom in, go to right when he starts painting, probably right there would be good. Go to the pen tool, add another keyframe, and turn this back down to 100. And then we can just drag these out to increase the ramp, essentially. Now we can add some easy ease by adjusting these little handlebars on each side of the ramp. So let's see what we have here. Speed up, slow down. So actually I want that to be the end. Let's see here. That's fine for this example. So we basically have them speeding up, slowing down. So what I'm going to do here is go to Project Panel and make a new adjustment layer. And drag it up above in Video Track 2, and then go to Effects and search for Blur. And what we're going to add is a directional blur. So we're going to simulate the camera going from left to right here behind them. So what we're going to do here is under directional blur, change the direction to 90 degrees. And what we're going to do is keyframe the blur length. So at its maximum apex, where it's the fastest, we'll change it to about 100. Then at the beginning of the ramp, when it starts picking up, we're going to keyframe it, make it back down to 0. And then at the end, when it starts slowing down, again, we'll make it 0. So we essentially have this. But what's going to enhance this effect is if we add a mask to it. That way he's still kind of in focus. So what we're going to do is create more room for ourselves around the canvas and the program monitor. And what we can do is draw a mask basically around him. And then invert it and mask change the feather mask to maybe about 500 pixels. And maybe adjust the mask expansion so it looks a little bit better here. You can also adjust the different points you made accordingly. There you go. It might look better if it's sped up a little bit more here. So I'm going to increase the speed maybe to 2000. Then obviously you'll have to slide these over and readjust where the keyframes were. If we right click and go to directional blur, blur length, see the keyframes for the blur. There we go. So you can kind of see how it adds blur on the sides to simulate that the camera is moving quite quickly. And this is only something that you can do in post-production because, this shot was originally captured in real speed. So this is a good way, if you're time remapping, to add some blur to the sides to kind of simulate the camera lens as it moves around the image. So those are two techniques that you can use to add motion blur inside Premiere Pro. I hope this video has helped you. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel if you like these tutorials, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.